Shalom, Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Nakwam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another cold cut, giving, of course, all honor and all glory to Yahweh, by Shema Mashiach, Kwamalak Yabushai. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting for the second coming of Mashiach, Kwamalak Yabushai. A hearty, mighty Shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there in the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their body as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying, they're being diligent, and abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Aquath out there, the sincere sisters out there, holding it down in the households, reverent to their husbands, being submissive and diligent, and moving in the spirit of our righteous foremother. Shalom, shalom. And last but not least, shalom to everybody tuning in live. Abad Babal, Yaquam Ban Yasha Allah, Solomon McFadden, Elijah Jones, Mug the General, Love Pious, Rise Israel 2.0, T Sellers, Yaiqua, Angel Salaki Rosario, Kyoko Banyamyan, Vernon Brody, T Sellers, Zakaya Israel, from Egypt to Israel, Quadash Zion, from WFI Seattle, and Yakar Salah from WFI Seattle ATL, right? Kwam Yashala, praise Yahweh Shema Bashai. This is a Q&A and understanding the scriptures, right? Let's get right into it, right? Let's get right into it. We're going to open up the floor for some questions, maybe possibly go into some breakdowns and go into the word and the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, right? So first question, Abad Babal, Shalom, what's the meaning behind the incense, censer, and frankincense? So the incense, censer, and frankincense are technically used by the priest, right? They're used by the priest for various purposes. Sometimes frankincense is used for the sacrifices, and we'll get into it. And your censer is used with coals and your incense in it in order to provide the smell and the aroma inside of the temple and inside of the holy place for the priest. Now, incense, right? Let's actually pull this up. Let's go to Luke, the first chapter. Let's show the screen. Right, let's deal with it. So this is a unique question, right? Let's pull this up. All right, bear with me. Let's go to Luke, the first chapter. So we'll deal with the office of John the Baptist's father, Zacharias. This is Luke chapter 1 and verse 8. It reads, and it came to pass that while he executed the priest's office, it's like before the Most High, and the order of his course. Now, this is Zacharias, John the Baptist's father. There were 24 courses essentially set up by David for the priesthood and for different offices that they would have, right? And they would be in the temple and provide their course at a set time throughout the year. Then they would go home. Then the next course will come up. The next course will go home, and it will run consecutively. So it was Zacharias' turn to run his course and to execute the priest's office. According to the custom of the priest's office, his lot was to burn incense when he went into the temple of the Lord. So burning the incense goes into the priest, lighting the incense, and you have incense that is used in censers by the priest. So you have something called the altar of incense. All right, let's pull this up. The altar, Salakia, altar of incense used by the priest. All right, let's pull this up, and we'll get this in the book of Exodus. So here's your altar of incense with the 4 horns on it. When we go to the book of Exodus, I believe that's the 25th chapter, if I'm not mistaken, we'll read about the priest and the incense. All right, let's see. Bear with me. Let's see the altar. Okay, bear with me. Let's get this exact account. Right, for sake of time. Exodus 30. All right, this is Exodus chapter 30 and 1. And thou shalt make an altar to burn incense upon. Upon shittim wood shalt thou make it. A cubit shall be the length thereof, and a cubit the breadth thereof. 4 square shall it be, and 2 cubits shall be the height thereof. The horns thereof shall be of the same. And thou shalt overlay it with pure gold, the top thereof and the sides thereof round about, and the horns thereof, and thou shalt make it a crown of gold round about. Right? So this is your altar of incense, and this would be lit by the priest. Right? This would be lit by the priest. Now, your altar of incense was lit, and it was the chief time at the hour of prayer. Right? Now, frankincense, and I'll get that. Let's get frankincense. So you have frankincense right here. Okay. So lucky. I don't want to go on Amazon. You have your frankincense sticks, but you really have your frankincense right here, right? On coals, it's burned, right? And that's where you get your aroma of your frankincense from. And then you have your altar of incense right here where the frankincense was burning, and the smoke will produce that frankincense aroma. And really at the hour of prayer is a set time when that would be done. That's why back in Luke, the first chapter, you have people praying outside of the temple at the time of the burning of the incense. So this is Luke chapter 1 and 10. And the whole multitude of the people were praying without, meaning outside, at the time of the incense. And there appeared unto him, meaning Zacharias, an angel of the Lord standing on the right side of the altar of incense. So Zacharias, who was a Levite, John the Baptist's father, his job was to light that incense, keep it burning at the altar of incense. The altar of incense is what you read about in Exodus, the 30th chapter and the 37th chapter. Here's an example of what it may have looked like. You'll put the incense on it, and you see the smoke ascending to the top of it, right? And it was made 4 square. It was made even, right? Just like when you read about the kingdom of heaven in the book of Revelation, chapter 21, you read about New Jerusalem being 4 square. 4 square meaning perfect, equal, symbolic for just, right? Pure, equity, righteousness, perfection. And the 4 horns are symbolic for power, all right, throughout the Bible. That's why back in the same chapter in Luke, the altar of incense has horns because horns symbolize power, right? And it's the power of that incense being lit that coincides with the prayers, right? This is Luke chapter 1 and 69. And hath raised up an horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. So you see that horn represents power and strength, right? Yahweh Shah is our horn. Let's go to Zechariah, the first chapter. This is Zechariah chapter 1 and verse 18. Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, 4 horns. See that? And these 4 horns are symbolic for all of the nations that have scattered us as a whole, right? And I said unto the angel that talked with me, what be these? And he answered me, these are the horns, meaning these are the powers, which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. And who scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem? Yeah, Assyrians, Slovakia. Yeah, Assyrians, your Babylonians, your Medes, your Persians, your Greeks, your Romans, right? Your Hamites, these nations. They're responsible for scattering us, but they're called the horns because they are the powers that be. The strength of a beast is his horn. All right, let's get one more in that horn. Let's go to Micah chapter 4. This is Micah chapter 4 and verse 13. Arise and thresh, O daughter of Zion, for I will make thine horn iron. And our horn is Yahweh Shah, meaning the Lord is going to use him to beat these nations in pieces the same way iron does. So the Lord said, I will make thine horn iron, and I will make thy hooves brass. So from the head all the way down to the bottom, from Yahweh Shai unto the man that is so-called least feeble, right? And thou shalt beat in pieces many people, and I will consecrate their gain unto Yahweh, and their substance unto the Lord of the whole earth. So when you're dealing with the incense, you have to know about the altar of incense. The altar of incense was used at the hour of prayer. So when Israel would pray, when the incense was lit, Israel would pray to the Most High. And that smoke going up is the same time, and it's symbolic of the prayers that are being sent up to the Most High. And it has to be frankincense, because frankincense is the pure smell of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, right? Of the temple, right? And frankincense has a lot of effects on the body, physiological effects too. When you read about frankincense, the smell on a physical level, it keeps the mind sharp. You understand? It keeps the mind focused. That's why the priests lit the frankincense even on the physical level. It plays on a mental side as well. And frankincense is known for getting rid of spirits too, and providing an aroma that calms the body down. You know, that's why even these nations, they have something called aromatherapy, right? Aromatherapy is a science of using aromas and smells to calm the nerves, right? Let me see, my spelling is right horrendous right now. Okay, so check this out, right? Aromatherapy is a holistic healing treatment that uses natural plant extracts to promote health and well-being. Sometimes it's called essential oil therapy. You see that? For thousands of years, man. There are certain smells that trigger a psychological or physiological effect on the body and the mind. And frankincense, see if they got something on frankincense. Frankincense affects, or we'll see aroma. See that? Frankincense is a resin that has a woodsy and spicy aroma that may have psychological effects such as calming the mind. Because when you're doing these offerings, you got to think about it. This is a big deal, man. Right? If you mess up, you're dead. You have to have a still spirit and be focused to be able to get this job done. Look what happened to Aaron's sons, man. When you read the book of Leviticus, the 10th chapter, these men, Abihu, if I'm not mistaken, and his brother, they lit strange fire unto the Lord. Nadab and Abihu, right? Leviticus 10:1. Check this out. And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer. And I'm to this question, which is a very good question, where I'm gonna pull up a censer too. This is a censer. Where's my censer? Right now, is this the same censer the priest had? No. Am I a Levite? No. Right now, this is a censer. I've been told I'm a Levite. I don't believe I'm a Levite, right? But this is a censer. Now you have large censers, you have small censers. Is this the same censer that Nadab and Abihu used? No, right? So they would take the incense and they would put the fire, like the incense within the censer, and they would have the censer like this, right? And it would be waving for the Lord, right? And you will also have incense that's not lit and a mobile censer that you would carry, and it would be lit at the altar of incense. All right. And that's an example of what a censer is. So let's see what Nadab and Abihu did. These are the sons of Aaron, right? And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer and put fire therein and put incense thereon and offered strange fire before the Lord, which he commanded them not. And there went out fire from the Lord and devoured them, and they died before the Lord. So there's a set way that you're supposed to light your censer. You're supposed to take fire from the particular altar and use that as the fire for your censer. The strange fire is taking a fire that doesn't come from the altar of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai and using that to light your censer. So the Lord slew them. So you got to get this thing perfect, man. Remember, when you read the book of Revelation, there's an angelic priesthood. You have your patriarchal priesthood that preceded Moses. Then you have your Levitical priesthood of Aaron and Phineas, or Eleazar, Phineas, and those men. And then you have your priesthood of Melchizedek, which is Yahushua, right? And the apostles and men under him. And then you have your angelic priesthood, right? The angelic priesthood, they deal with the same tools, for lack of better terms, are holy vessels that men on the earth deal with to a certain extent, right? So check this out. This is Leviticus chapter 8:3. And there came, and another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar, which was before the throne. You see that? So all of your prayers are being sent up to the Most High, right? All of your prayers, Lucky, bear with me. Okay, let me pull this back up, Salakia. Right, so all of your prayers are sent up to the Most High, right? So as your prayers are being sent up at the hour of prayer, John is letting you know that he's seeing that these prayers don't go in vain. All of your prayers for vengeance, all of your prayers for deliverance, all your prayers for Babylon to be destroyed, all the prayers for the wicked, right, being cut down in the land of the living, those prayers don't fall on so-called deaf ears. Those prayers are heard. And it's telling you what's going on in the third heaven. All of your prayers are being sent up to the Most High. So as that smoke ascends at the altar of incense with that frankincense, symbolic for your prayers coming up before the Lord. So check this out. And the smoke of the incense, which came with the prayers of the saints, ascended up before God out of the angel's hand. That's why back in Luke, the first chapter, all of the people are praying to the Most High. And as that smoke goes up, the angels are taking the prayers of the saints and taking them up before the Most High, right? And the angel took the censer and filled it with fire of the altar. You see that? So the fire to light your censer has to come from the altar, and cast it into the earth, and there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. So if you don't, this shows you the law right here, right? Your fire has to come from the altar. So you have to have a focus, man. You have to get this job done right. So frankincense gives you that effect to focus and get that job done the right way according to the law. It regulates your emotions and boosts your confidence, right? These are certain, look at this. Frankincense is also known to have healing properties. It can help ward off negative thoughts. So that's why we always encourage brothers to light that frankincense. Well, I don't want to do it. I want to light dragon's blood, right? I want to unlight. We're not lighting dragon's blood, man. Or these strange, vulgar incense names, man. You know? Black. You got a brother brought some frankincense called Black Woman. I'm not lighting a Black woman in my house, man. Right? Oh, you gotta get that Black woman. I'm not lighting it. I'm not smelling it. No. Keep the frankincense going. Get a little censer. Get the frankincense rocks, resin. You don't use them. Now, some people, right? Still with frankincense health benefits. So here's some frankincense oil health benefits, right? Okay, then I want to move on to the next question. I don't want to spend too much time. Okay, check this out. So here's frankincense, right? It's most commonly recognized as one of the gifts offered by the three wise men, and there's no account of it being three wise men, right? It just says wise men present at the nativity. But what you might not know is that frankincense has a wide variety of everyday uses, even in the present day. The delicate, fragrant resin is good for treating the skin, relieving stress and anxiety, or simply freshening up a musty room, right? Frankincense relieves stress and anxiety. We covered that. Hold on. Get this out the way. Okay, helps comfort you. Use it to get to sleep, relieving stress and anxiety. Improves your health, right? They say oral hygiene, and you kind of read this on your own, man. Injuries, upset stomach, right? So you get the point, right? So that's the point of lighting that incense, and really that incense that's lit, the altar of incense. I'm gonna pull this back up. It's symbolic for Yahweh Shai, right? Because Yahweh Shai, he is the one who has sent up the prayers on behalf of the saints, right? When you go to John, the 17th chapter, right? See the high priestly prayer, right? Because everything in that tabernacle was a representation of Yahweh Shai, from the Ark of the Covenant to the bread, because Yahweh Shai is the bread, right? That showbread, to the altar of incense, because Yahweh Shai is that true altar to offer up the prayers for the elect to be saved, right? To the washing with the brazen laver. All of these things are symbolic for Yahweh Shai, right? This is John chapter 17 and verse 1. These words spake Yahweh Shai and lifted up his eyes to heaven and said, Father, the hour is come. Glorify thy son, that thy son may glorify thee. When you read this chapter, you read about Yahweh Shai praying for the elect. I pray for them. I pray not for the world, but for them which thou hast given me, for they are thine. So this altar of incense is symbolic for perfection. That's why it's four square. Yahweh Shai is perfect. The four horns symbolize the all omnipotency. Four is symbolic for completion or infinite. And horn symbolizes power. And that's Yahweh Shai's omnipotence. And the smoke going up is symbolic for the prayer of Yahweh Shai, for the elect. Right? So you have to have that frankincense. You have to have that censer too for the priest, and have that thing lit within the temple. All right, so let's move on. Yaquam ban Yahawada. Shalom Malak. Will the sixth seal be manifest during the times of the kings of the east, making war with Yahweh Shai? All right, let's deal with it. So the sixth seal is pursuant to the same book in Revelation, but we're going to go to the sixth chapter. Right? Let's go to Revelation, the sixth chapter. This is Revelation chapter, and these seals deal with particular prophecies that happen in process of time. So this sixth seal goes into the peak of World War III. All right, you're gonna have the beginning of World War III, like Yahweh Shai said, there will be the beginning of wars, and the power shall be troubled. Right? Let me get that in 2nd Ezra chapter 16. Right, so we could break this down. Break down this sixth seal and explain exactly what it means through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right, let's get this 16:11. Pull it up. All right, bear with me. Let's go to 2nd Ezra. 2nd Ezra chapter 16. And I believe I want verse, let's see, 16 if I'm not mistaken. 2nd Ezra chapter 16 and 16. Like as an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer returneth not backward, even so the plagues that shall be sent upon earth shall not return again. Woe is me, who will deliver me in those days. This is what Ezra said, man. When the Most High starts shooting these missiles on the earth and war kick off, it's not going to be a peace treaty. It's not going to be something where the nations can come together and come to a resolution. So make some type of diplomatic move where they stop shooting the missiles. Right? This is coming from the Most High. It's not going to return again. Right? Woe is me, who would deliver me in those days. So Ezra actually saw himself back on the earth during the time of World War III. The beginning of sorrows and great mourning. The beginning of famine and great death. Here's what I want. The beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? So you're going to have wars, but you're going to have the beginning of wars, right? You're going to, and right now these nations are picking a side. They're deciding, do they want to keep their alliance with the West, chiefly America, or do you want to join Russia, China, Iran, drop the dollar, and link up with the new so-called powers that be? So everybody's picking a side, man. You know, everybody's sharpening their sword. They're testing their missiles. They're building up their arsenal, right? They're showing their citizens how to prepare for a nuclear attack, how to deal with nuclear fallout. Where's the closest fallout shelter? Everybody's getting ready for war, for the beginnings of wars. Even Yahweh Shah said that there would be nation rising against nation. Right, let's get that in Matthew chapter 24. Matthew 24 and verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. So this is what you're living in now. You're hearing of North Korea saying, hey, if America sends another fighter jet over our airspace, we'll shoot it down. That's a rumor of war. Russia saying, hey, look, we think we may set up a missiles in Cuba again to point them at America. That's a rumor of war. Just talk, right? See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must first, it's like it must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So you have these beginning of wars, but then you have Revelation 6 with the sixth seal. This is going to be towards the end of those wars. And there's no telling how long those wars are going to be. World War I was what, 1914 and 1919, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, how long was World War I? Right? World War I. Yep, 1914 and 1918. 4 years and 3 months. How long was World War II? That was what, 1939 and 1945? Right, 1939 and 1945. Right, a good 6 years. So you have 4 years, 6 years. Now, there's no telling how long World War III is going to last. Let's see what happens if we type it in. How long will World War III last? Right, well, they don't know, right? Nobody really knows, but we know it may be a lot swifter due to the technology, right? Due to the technology of the missiles and the technology of the bombs about what the Mossad has in store, man. So you will have World War III. Now, the brother's question is, will the sixth seal be manifest during the times of the kings of the East making war with Yahweh Shai? Well, the kings of the East, I'll put it like this. First, let's read the sixth seal, and we'll read who's going to make war with Yahweh Shai. All right. Revelation chapter 6 and 12. This is towards the end of World War III. And I beheld when he opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. That's what you call an eclipse. A solar eclipse is where it says the sun became black as sackcloth of hair. A blood moon is where it says the moon became as blood. And the stars of heaven fell into the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. Now the stars of heaven falling to the earth are talking about these missiles. When John saw them, John had no type of understanding of what an intercontinental ballistic was. The terminology, the vernacular, the verbiage, the word, he didn't have that at his disposal to be able to describe futuristic technology with an ancient mind, using words that we're familiar with today. So he's going to describe a missile in a way that he understands. And you can't get mad at him. Well, why didn't he just say ICBM? Because he don't know. Well, he should have. Well, hey, look, he's doing the best he can. He did a mighty job through the grace of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, to the point where we can actually understand what John saw. Even though he described futuristic events with an ancient mind, it was so detailed in the spirit for us to be able to interpret what he saw, you know. So it reads, "And the stars of heaven fell into the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places." Now, when it says heaven departed as a scroll, that's what you call your so-called mushroom cloud, right? Because heaven is the so-called firmament. So what John saw, as he saw heaven depart as a scroll. See that bottom part is like a couldn't say a mushroom cloud. See that? See, this looks like a scroll right here. Hold on, let me go back. Hold on, I gotta go back forward. See that? That looks like a scroll. Heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. See that? So that's what John saw. Reading on. "And every mountain and island were moved out of their places, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains." So your great men are what? Your great men are your elites, your Rockefellers, your Rothschilds, right? Those are your great men. Your rich men are your billionaires, your trillionaires who own these multi-billion-dollar corporations. Then you have your chief captains. Those are your generals in the army, lieutenants, admirals, men of renown. And the mighty men are your top soldiers, corporals, colonels, men of the army who know how to, are going to be security for those military bases, right? Provide the personnel and manpower. Every bondman are your low-level people, right? And your free man is every low-level people too. Those are your doomsday preppers, guys that build these trailers and put them underground and hide in them. So when these bombs start kicking off, people are going to be going to these deep underground military bases. You know, they show you that. Just watch that so-called movie. They cloned Tyrone, man, and they had the deep underground military base where they were doing God knows what down there, right? So they were inside of the mountains. They were actually underneath the city, man. And said to the mountains and the rocks, "Fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb, for the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand?" So during the sixth seal, you're going to have missiles hitting, right? Yahweh Shai is not going to return in the sixth seal. So the kings of the east aren't going to be fighting Yahweh Shai during the sixth seal. Yahweh Shai is returning during the seventh seal, right? At the last trump, that's when Yahweh Shai is going to return. But during the sixth seal is where you have, let's show you what's going to be going on during the sixth seal. Let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, and let's jump down. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 29. "Where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots." Actually, I'm going to start at 28, dealing with the kings of the east. "Beholding horrible vision and the appearance thereof from the east." Right? So it's like Ezra saw a little bit more than what John saw. Ezra actually saw specific kingdoms of the Middle East forming an alliance, coming together. What they call your Peninsula Shield Force, the Arab League, your RSII alliance, right? That's what he saw coming from the east. What the Bible calls in Revelation 16, the kings of the east. Right? Let's go to Revelation chapter 16. Revelation chapter 16 and verse 12. "And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon a great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that what? That the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. And your kings of the east are who? China, Iran, Russia plays a part in that. You understand? Afghanistan, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia. These are your kings of the east. And like we brought up before, your kings of the east, their modern day diplomatic terms is your what? Your RSII alliance. Russia, Syria, Iran, and Iraq coalition. Right? This is a military alliance of dominant nations who all have a common interest and despise in America. Right? See, I'm trying to get this Bing is ridiculous. Okay, let's pull this up. See that? Your RSII alliance. Now, after your RSII alliance, you have your SCO, your Shanghai Corporation Council. Right? So your Shanghai Corporation Council are also so-called Middle Eastern nations coming together. Right? Your People's Republic of China, Islamic Republic of Pakistan, India, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyz Republic, Kazakhstan, and Russia. So these are your kings of the East, from your Shanghai Corporation Organization all the way up to your Arab League, your Peninsula Shield Force, as well as your RSII Alliance. Let's pull up the Peninsula. See like a Peninsula Shield Force. See that? It's the military arm of the Gulf Corporation Council. So your Peninsula Shield Force, they're going to get in on that thing too, man. The kings of the East. Now, during the time of the Sixth Seal, they just getting this thing ramped up, man. They won't be making war against Yahweh Shai during the time of the Sixth Seal, but they will be sealing up their alliance and tightening up any political affairs that they do have, right? That they do have. It reads, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia, and that's Yemen, Jordan, Syria, Oman, all these nations, right? Pakistan shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also the Carmanians, those are your so-called Iranians, your Persians, right? Raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come, and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. And the land of the Assyrians is dealing with the destruction of the so-called white man's land, right? Rather, that's the land of Israel, particular parts of Europe, right? That's the land of the Assyrians, the land inhabited by Esau, right? Yeah, it says Assyrian, but we know the modern day Assyrian is Esau, right? And that chief land they're going to start taking out is the land of Israel, because they're in a bad place, man. Those Amalekites are in a bad place. They're surrounded by so-called Arabs, Ishmaelites. They hate them. So the first spot they're going to start getting with is getting with these Amalekites. That's just a portion of the Assyrians' land. Now, the Assyrian, he has America. The Assyrian, that is, if you got ears to hear, he has Europe. The Assyrian has Australia, and the Assyrian has the state of Israel. So if they're going to waste away a portion of their land, it's going to start with that land that they all despise the most. That's most common to them, right? So these Arabs are going to be against these Amalekites, man, and the rest of these Edomite tribes as they take them down by force. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature, and if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them. So they're going to have the upper hand for a portion during that time of that Sixth Seal, right? And with war, you have an amalgamation of battles. And sometimes some nations are winning the battle. Sometimes these countries are losing the battle. But the Most High is letting you know that the upper hand in World War III is going to go to these Ishmaelites, man. Does that mean they're going to win all and have to end all be all? No. They're just going to have the upper hand. Why? Because they're going to remember their nature. What is the nature of these so-called Arabs? To be a wild man. That's the blessing that the Most High gave them pursuant to the book of Genesis, the 16th chapter. Slakia. That there will be a wild man, and every man shall be against him, and his hand shall be against every man, paraphrasing. This is Genesis chapter 16 and 12. Here's the blessing of Ishmael. And he will be a wild man. That's stoning people, throwing acid on women, locking up women for screaming, beating them, blowing themselves up, strapping a bomb to their chest. I mean, they'll do God knows what, man. They'll take a machete and chase you around. He's a wild man. If you drop, and you see what happened to that sister that went to Dubai, man. You know? See, that stuff she was used to doing in Babylon the Great, she can't do out there, man. You know? They locked her up. Now, I don't know if she got out or not. She probably got out. You know, I didn't follow through with the account, but hey, look, man, they're not going for a lot of the things that you so-called Negroes are going for. All right. So he's a wild man, and his hand is against every man. He's against Israel. He's against Yahweh Shai. He's against the Most High. He's against the Edomites. He don't deal with the Japanese, right? And you really only deal with the Arab. I mean, Arabs only really deal with the Arabs, man. When the last time you seen an Arab man and a Japanese woman? An African man and an Arab woman. It don't really work like that. They deal with each other, and their hand is against everybody else. And it is what it is. So during the time of World War III, they're going to remember that they must come together and have that wild spirit as they take these other nations down, right? And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. So that's why all them Ishmaelites, Arabs live amongst each other. So to the brother's question, the kings of the East are going to play a major role in fighting against Yahweh Shai because they will in time to come, but not during the sixth seal, right? Yahweh Shai is going to return during the seventh seal at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound. And during that time, those nations are going to be in the valley of Jehoshaphat, fighting amongst other nations. And then Yahweh Shai is going to return, and then he's going to destroy those nations. So that's how that's going to work prophetically, right? According to the scriptures. So we got a lot of good questions through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right, let's deal with it. From Elijah Jones. Does it have a spiritual meaning behind the story of the Levite and his concubine when he divided 12 pieces to the 12 tribes? Judges chapter 19, 29 through 30. All right, let's deal with it. All right, let's actually pull that account up. That's a horrific account, man. Right? That's a horrific account. Let's go to Judges chapter 19 and 29. Now, if you haven't read this account, right, you'll read it, right? The wicked son of Belial wanted to know, I'm gonna just be transparent. They wanted to rape the man of the Lord. I'll just put it out there. He said no. He said, I got a woman for you. He said, here's my daughter. The father said, here's my daughter. All right, let's read the account. Let's deal with it. Judges 19 and 22. Now, as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial, beset the house round about and beat at the door. So this man came to his father-in-law to bring his concubine back to him after she played the whore. So while he's bringing his daughter back, which he had no business, if there's any spiritual meaning, this guy had no business bringing his daughter back, his wife back, or his concubine back from her father's house after she played the whore. You do these things against wisdom, and you find yourself in a situation that you shouldn't be in. He had no business being in this situation, man. Why would you go and your woman? Let's read that. Okay, hold on. Let's jump up. Judges chapter 19 and verse 1. Then I'm going to jump back down after I read these 2 verses. And it came to pass in those days when there was no king in Israel. And what happened when there was no king in Israel? Everybody did that was right in their own eyes. Let's get that. When there was no king, everybody did what they wanted to do. Right? This Judges chapter 21 and 25. In those days, there was no king in Israel. Every man did which was right in his own eyes. So everybody did their own thing. And if this guy wants to murder, he'll murder. Or if this guy wants to be king, he'll be king. And this guy, he wants to, do this, he'll do this. Nobody was checking anybody. Right? So this is in that same time. And it came to pass in those days when there was no king in Israel, that a certain Levite, sojourning on the side of Mount Ephraim, who took to him a concubine out of Bethlehem, Judah. And his concubine played the whore against him, meaning she freaked off with another man, and went away from him unto her father's house to Bethlehem, Judah, and was there 4 whole months. So this guy, he went to go get her. And her husband arose and went after her. So he went off. The only reason he should be going after her is to write her a bill of divorce. But you're going to find out he's going after her to deal with her again. 4 whole months after she played the whore. See that? And her husband arose and went after her to speak friendly unto her and to bring her again. So that's off. Here you go, your wife go play the whore and do whatever. You go, I got to speak friendly to her. They got songs like that, man. I had it, man. I heard it the other day about this. Dang, what song is that, man? It'll come to me, man. It was one of those simp songs from the 90s. There's a lot of simp songs in the 90s, right? By these different groups, man. Blackstreet, Jodeci, Boyz II Men. They got a lot of simp songs. Babyface got a lot of simp songs. And he got a song that say, I'll wash your clothes, I'll cook your food, I'll pay your bills, I'll pay your rent, or I'll give you a credit card to max out. I can't remember these songs. It's been a while. But hey, there's a lot of simp songs, man. So this guy is what they call, he was simping. He went to go speak friendly to her and bring her again when she was going 4 whole months to play the whore. So he went off. All right. The Lord said, give not your strength unto a woman, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. The Babyface song I just thought about is called As Soon As I Get Home. Right? If you want to listen to it on your own time, you can listen to it and you'll figure out what not to do. So it's called As Soon As I Get Home. He's working all day. He said, as soon as he get home, he laid down what he got going on. But let's move on. So it reads, having his servant with him and a couple of asses. And she brought him into her father's house. When the father of the damsel saw him, he rejoiced to meet him. Because they probably had that relationship back in the day. But she played the whore. So let's jump down when she played the whore. So here's the point of the question. Judges chapter 19 and 29. It reads, actually 19 and 22. Now as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial, beset the house round about, and beat at the door, and spake to the master of the house, the old man, saying, bring forth the man that came into thine house, that we may know him. Now when it says these men want to know him, it doesn't mean they want to ask him, okay, well, what's your favorite feast day? Right? Okay, well, what's your favorite color? Okay, I want to get to know you. Okay, do you like horses? Okay, or do you like mules? No, when it says bring this man out that we may know him, they want to pop him. I'm going to just put it out there. They want to have sex with him. Right? The whole men, all of the men of the city. And the man, the master of the house, went unto them and said unto them, Nay, my brethren, nay, I pray you, do not so wickedly, seeing that this man is coming to my house. Do not this folly. He said, no, you ain't. No, I got to protect this brother that came into my house. The hell are y'all doing, man? What is wrong with you? No, no. Behold, here is my daughter, a maiden, and his concubine. See that? Them will I bring out now, and humble ye them, and do with them what seemeth good unto you, but unto this man do not so vile a thing. So they say, hey, you can do what you want to do with this daughter. Now you can say, well, he shouldn't have did that. That's not right. That's sexist. That's, well, hey, Lot had to do it. Those were the angels of the Lord, bro. What, Lot was supposed to let the angels of the Lord, get jammed up? No. He was supposed to let this man get jammed up that came to his house? No. This is the ancient mind. You have to have an ancient mind to understand that move he made. Right? You can't be in this futuristic today's time. You have to have an ancient mind to understand, okay, that was a sound judgment. All right. Lot had to do the same thing. But the men would not hearken unto him. So they said, no, we don't want that woman. We want that man. So the man took his concubine and brought her forth unto him. She was probably, no, right? No, put me down. Picked her up, right? Let me go. Right? So he opened the door and threw it to the wolves, man. And they knew her and abused her all the night until the morning. You see that? So this was a sick deal, man. A sick, evil situation. They abused this man's wife all night until the sun came up. And when the day began to spring, they let her go. So these were a bunch of sodomites. Then they switched up and they knew this woman all night, man. It's a lot of evil men on the earth. And these men are back on the earth now. Then came the woman in the dawning of the day and fell down at the door of the man's house where her Lord was till it was light. And her Lord rose up in the morning and opened the doors of the house, Salakia, and went out to go his way. And behold, the woman, his concubine, was fallen down at the door of the house, and her hands were upon the threshold. So she was defeated. And he said unto her, up and let us be going. But none answered. And he still, just a big deal. Then the man took her up upon an ass, and the man rose up and got him into his place. And when he was coming to his house, he took a knife and laid hold on his concubine and divided her together with her bones into 12 pieces and sent her unto all the coast of Israel. And it was so. So he took his woman and sliced her up, right? Chopped off her arm here. So during the time of Judges, it was just outright wickedness. When did the Most High say do that? When did the Most High say when somebody dies, you just chop them up and divide them? Now, this was done to send a message. That's why he did it. It was a message. It was really as a rallying cry. He had to do this to get Israel to say, look, this is not what it should be, man. He sent it to this tribe, to Zebulun, sent the peace to Judah, sent the peace to Dan, sent the peace to Gad, sent the peace to Manasseh. And every tribe, they received this peace with this woman's body part. Then they got a concept with the next tribe. Say, I got a leg. Well, I got an arm. Well, I got a foot. I got a head. I got a kneecap. What the heck? What is going on? Who did this? Oh, it came from Benjamin, the man in Benjamin. So all of the tribes who received those body parts was forced to come together to figure out what was going on. So this was pretty much a wake-up call. So let's read on. And it was so, Judges chapter 19 and 30, that all that saw it said, there was no such deed done nor seen from the day that the children of Israel came up out of the land of Egypt until this day. Consider of it and take advice and speak your minds. So they had to have a council. That's what that means. Right? All of them had to consider what happened and communicate about how they should deal with this matter going forward. That's what it means, speak your minds. Judah said, hey, look, we should do this. Well, Gad said, hey, I think we should go this route. Ephraim said we should do this, right? And sometimes that's what it takes. But I mean, if to the brother's question, it was used as a resurrection. Right? Remember, during these days, everybody did what they wanted to do. And, you know, he did what it took to be able to get Israel together. And when you read the rest of this account, they ended up making war with Benjamin, right? And they came together. And they had to figure this thing out, right? They came together to figure that thing out. So that was a big deal right there. That was a big deal, and they got emotional. All right. Next question from Elijah Jones. Okay. I read a book, Up from Slavery, from T. Washington, and it was an autobiography of his life during slavery. And he mentioned that Native Americans enslaved their race. So what do you think? Well, there's accounts of a few Gadites actually enslaving some so-called Judites, right? There's accounts of that for Gad that sold out, you know, and there's accounts of Gad fostering and protecting and sheltering Israel as they fled from so-called slave masters. You're always going to have a coon. Every Gadite, we got to stop pretending that every Gadite, you know, opposed to so-called white men, right? It's just historically, it's just inaccurate. Some Gadites sold out. I'm just going to come out and say it. Did all of them do it? No. Right? Did a few do it? Yes. Historically, it can be proven. Right? So it's not a matter of more so what I think. I mean, historically, it has been shown. Does that mean Gad is in Israel? No. Judas Iscariot betrayed Yahushua. Does that mean all so-called Jews are in Israel? No. Wicked acts don't make you a heathen by blood. It'll make you a heathen in the flesh by action, but not by blood. Right? Now there are some accounts. Right? Let me see if I can I believe if I say Africans, right, they're going to give me what I want, even though we know we're not Africans, right? Let's see. Let's see. I have to find it. And some Gadites were used as taskmasters. Slovakia. All right, let's see. Many prominent people from the 5 civilized tribes, right? Choctaw, Cherokee, Chickasaw, Seminole, Muskau, right? Purchased slaves from their white neighbors, became member of the planter class. So they sold out. Right? A lot of so-called Gadites sold out. I'm gonna just come out and say it again. We have to stop with this facade that every Israelite over here was just willing to die for the Most High. No, man. I mean, when has that ever been? When have you had Israelites? Show me a time in history when Israel wasn't a coon, when certain Israelites didn't sell out. From the time we came out of Egypt till now, you're always going to have sellouts. Rhodicus and Second Maccabees, he sold out. Right? Judas sold out. The Pharisees sold out. You're always going to have sellouts amongst our people. There will never be a time in history until we're in the kingdom where you're not going to have Israelites that cleave into the so-called white man and these other nations. I mean, it's just it is what it is, and that's part of the curses. Right? It's part of the curses. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28, and I'll get another precept. And then even historically, we can go in the Bible and show that Northern Kingdom actually put Judah in slavery for a period of time until the prophet came and said, let these men go. You know, and we'll get that. Right? Deuteronomy chapter. But the only thing that we're going to bring out Because we're still gonna hold it down and say, look, they're still Israel. They can repent. They can keep the commandments just as much as a so-called Negro who kills a so-called Northern Kingdom brother in gang-related activity or by murder or whatever. They're still Israel. They have to repent. So Israel is off and wicked, but they have to repent, right? That's at the end of the day. And stop loving your oppressor. Deuteronomy 28 and 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil toward his brother, right? And toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall lead. So we do have that evil eye. And that's not just talking about father leaving the kids. It's not just talking about drive-bys in Chicago, gang-related activity in LA. It's not just Crips and Bloods, right? It goes back all the way from of old, man. Right? It goes back all the way of biblical ancient times, from Rehoboam was fighting against Jeroboam. When you had the king of Israel fighting against the king of Judah, right? When you had Judas delivering Yahushua, Rhodicus, the second Maccabees, betraying the sons of Mattathias, right? This thing goes on and on and on and on, right? Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Yahushua, right? So let's actually pull this up again. And I actually want to get this account and Chronicles, right? Let's actually get this in Chronicles. Right? I want to get this precept, bear with me, about this is Second Chronicles, I believe it's 20. Let's see, bear with me. I want to get this precept. Right, I'll have to do some searching. Okay. All right, okay, that's what I want. Second Chronicles 28. That's what I want. All right, so let's get Second Chronicles chapter 28. Second Chronicles chapter 28 and verse 5. Actually, I'll start at 8. And the children of Israel, who are the children of Israel? Your so-called northern tribes. What they call your so-called Latin tribes, your so-called Native Americans, so-called Seminole Indians, so-called Mayans, Aztecs, Incas, these are your children of Israel, right? The house of Ephraim, carried away captive of their brethren. Who are their brethren? The Jews, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. 200,000 women, sons, and daughters, and took also away much spoil from them, and brought them, it's like he brought the spoil to Samaria. So they enslaved Judah. But the Lord checked them. When you read the rest of this account, the Lord said, let them go, right? Y'all are wicked too. Let them go. So you can't take your brother captive. That's against the law, right? So you read that account. They went off. The Lord said that there is no new thing under the sun. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and 15. That which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been. And the Most High requireth that which is past. So things that have happened in the past are going to happen again. It's not a matter of if, just a matter of when, right? So to the question, well, I wasn't showing the screen. All right, Salakia. Right, so I brought this out. I'm not sure if I showed the screen here, but many prominent people from the 5 civilized tribes purchased slaves from their white neighbors, became members of the planter class. Right, so you had so-called Gadites that enslaved Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. I mean, it happened. Right, it happened. It's not the best things, it's not a bright point in Israel's history, but it is what it is. So we brought this out, and it's not just, you can say, well, that's Wikipedia. It's all over, right? It's in any historical library, university, you can look it up, right? It's documented, even accounts, eyewitnesses of us being enslaved during that time, right? But does that mean that they're not Israel? Of course not. right? Of course not. All right, so let's move on. Next question from Elijah Jones. Okay, why did the devil fight for Moses' body? Jude chapter 1 and 9. All right, let's deal with it. Why did the devil fight for Moses' body? And this account does go back to Jude chapter 1 and verse 9. Let's deal with it. Jude 1 and 9. Yet Michael the archangel, when contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moses. Salakia, durst not bring against him a railing accusation, but said the Lord rebuked thee. Now, why is Jude saying this in the first place? In order to understand what this is going into on a spiritual level, you must understand what it's going to on a surface level or a carnal level. The epistle of Jude is written to the churches, reminding them to maintain order, reminding them not to despise the structure of the apostles, reminding them about rebellion, false brethren unawares, and about the apostolic ministry that the Heavenly Father has set up through his son Yahweh Shai, right? So when you read this account, this is Jude chapter 1, and I'm going to start at verse 4. Actually, I'm going to start at 3. Here's the purpose, right? Every letter has a purpose. Behold, whether you write a letter for, oh, okay, I miss you. Okay, it's a letter. Hey, look, I need this done. Okay, I'm going to write a letter, right? For instruction, right? For persuasion, right? Those are your different purposes. So here's the reason why this epistle, aka this letter, was written. Tell you in verse 3, right? Beloved, when I gave all diligence to write unto you of the common salvation, it was needful for me, see that? It was needful for me to write unto you and exhort you that ye should earnestly contend for the faith which was once delivered unto the saints. He said, you got to fight in this truth. And I'm going to give you a bunch of reasons why. From verse 4 on down are a good amount of reasons about why you should be fighting to stay in this truth, fighting these demons, fighting these spirits, what to look out for, why things have went wrong in the church, right? And he's going to tell you, right? Verse 4. Now, Jude is the brother of Yahweh Shai, one of his brothers, biological brothers. He had 4 brothers, Simon, Joseph, James, and Jude, right? Simon, it's like Jude and James believed in him. His other 2 brothers, Simon and Joseph, did not, right? According to what's written at that time, right? Now, they could have came back and believed in time to come, but nevertheless, Jude is one of Yahweh Shai's brothers. Now, here's what he said. For there are certain men crept in unawares, who were before of old ordained to this condemnation. Ungodly men turning the grace of our God into lasciviousness and denying the only Lord God and the Lord Yahweh Shai Mashiach. So you have men that come into this truth, but they come in to be made an example of. They come in as spies. They may come in to take people away with them back into the world. They may come in just to pop woman, may come in just for money, may come in for views. They turn this truth and they make it carnal. That's what it means. They take the grace of our God into lasciviousness. Things that are supposed to be spiritual, they make it problematic and they make it carnal, right? And by doing that, they deny Yahweh Shai. And the ain't Slakia, I will therefore put you in remembrance, though ye once knew this, how that the Lord, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed them that believe not. So he's saying, look, you can come into this truth and still be sent back in the world, right? Just because you came out of Egypt didn't mean you received the promises, right? The Lord is saying you can be a Negro in the world. You could be a drug dealer. You can be a pimp. You can do God knows what. You could come into this truth, be brought out of the world, and still be destroyed. Put that in your mind. That's what Jude is saying. I got to remind you that, hey, look, you got to fight to stand this thing, because you could be brought out and still be destroyed. And the angels, which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness until the judgment of the great day. So we speak now of angels. It's not talking about, okay, Michael the archangel, he went off, okay, the Lord arrested him, and he got sent to jail. It's speaking about the spirits that are in men, right? that transitioned from the third heaven and were sent into these bodies, these chains of darkness, into the day of the Lord. Even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them, in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. Likewise, also these filthy dreamers defile the flesh, despise dominion, and speak evil of dignities. So Jude is going back to the account of Sodom and Gomorrah. And he's saying that these men gave themselves over to fornication. They wanted to rape the angels. And Lot, they wanted to be carnal. You have carnal men in this truth. That's why it says, likewise, the same way those men were carnal, those same way those men were fleshly, the same way those men were of the world, likewise, meaning even in this ministry, even in this truth, men moving that same spirit. They're as carnal as the Sodomites. Likewise, also these filthy dreamers defile the flesh. What is a filthy dreamer? A filthy dreamer is somebody who causes sedition. They have conspiracies and secret plots to overthrow the congregation, right? To set themselves up as a preeminent type of individual, right? A filthy dreamer is somebody who has ulterior motives and will pretend that they're with you, but they're really thinking about how to overthrow you and overthrow the ministry for their own vain purposes. So their imaginations defile them. Remember, the Yahweh Shah said in St. Mark, the 7th chapter, that the thoughts from within, these are the things that defile the flesh. You know? And certain men despise dominion. Tell them to hold post, all hell break loose. They can't follow no order unless it comes from the so-called white man. And they speak evil of dignities. Yeah, I don't like the way that the officer of my camp runs things. I should be in charge. Only if I were in charge, like Absalom. If I were king in the land, then I would hear everybody's calls. I don't like the way this captain of this camp is running things. Did you see what he did? Why would he bring that precept out at that time? If I was there, you know what I would have brought out. He shouldn't be in charge, right? Then he's doing this and he's doing that, and he's putting a spirit on the camp, man. So certain men speak evil of dignities. So here's the point. Yet Michael the archangel, when contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moses, durst not bring against him a railing accusation, but said, the Lord rebuked thee. So John is letting you know what happened in the spirit world in order to let you know how the apostles handle these matters on a carnal level. See, Michael the archangel, Mayaka Allah, in the Hebrew is who is like God. He is the chief angel under Yahweh Shah. Everybody else is under Michael. Here it is, Michael contending with the devil. Michael has authority. He's over the devil. He's over Satan. Satan is disputing about the body of Moses. Michael didn't bring against him a railing accusation. Michael didn't take that and bring it up to Yahweh Shah. He didn't take that and bring it up to the Most High. He very well could have. And he said, hey, look, the devil's trying to reveal the location of Moses' body to Israel that they may worship him. Michael could have reported that back to Yahweh Shah, right? He could have brought these accusations up, but he didn't. He understood his power. He understood the role that he was given. He understood the authority that he had. That's what Jude is letting these men know in the church. Everything don't have to come up top, man. You have the ability and the power to check these men at your leisure. These men that speak evil of dignities, these men that despise order, these men that don't want to follow instruction. You have the ability and the power to rebuke them and get rid of them at your leisure, man. Everything don't have to come up top. Michael handled this solo. What is the account of Michael going back and saying, Yahweh Shah, ooh, I got some tea, man. Satan is trying to do this. No. When did he come before the Most High and say, Yahweh, it's a big deal going on in the earth? No, he told him straight up, the Lord rebuked thee, man. So it goes into the structure of the church and how to deal with these spirits and how to deal with particular men when it comes to these men causing sedition and confusion. Why on a spiritual level would the devil want to dispute with Michael about the body of Moses? Well, it's the same way that you may have a leader of the camp get into it with somebody else because this person is trying to cause sedition and confusion and entice the camp and despise dominion. Satan wanted that body of Moses to be revealed. When Moses died or fell asleep, nobody knew where he was buried at because the Lord used the angel to bury him. Let's actually get that in Deuteronomy. So what Satan wanted to do, he knew how much Israel respected Moses and lauded him. He knew that we weep for Aaron when Aaron passed for 30 days. Right? In the book of Numbers, the 20th chapter. For 30 days we weep for for Aaron. He knew if we were to find that body of Moses and that sepulcher, they'll worship that thing. Israel is carnal. They'll take that and put it on a pedestal. They'll make Moses king. Look how they reverence Moses in the time of the New Testament. Moses gave us the law. We have Moses. Moses this, Moses that. And that's without the body of Moses. They fought against Yahushua by bringing up Moses. So what if they actually had his body? All hell would break loose, man. Right? All hell would break loose. This Deuteronomy chapter 34 and verse 5. So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of the Lord. And he buried him. So who buried him? The Lord. See that? And he buried him in a valley in the land of Moab, over against Baal Peor, but no man knoweth of his sepulture unto this day. So nobody knew where Moses' body was, even to this day. But Satan came down to try to put the thoughts in Israel to try to go locate that body. Then Michael came down and shut the whole program down. Because if they were to find that body, they would reverence and worship that body. Remember what they did to the serpent of brass that Moses made in the book of Numbers, the 21st chapter. Moses made a serpent of brass. They worshiped it. The Ark of the Covenant, you have people looking inside of it. All of these things that Moses set up, it was highly regarded. And it led to idolatry to a certain extent. Right? This 2 Kings chapter 18:4. Check this out. He removed the high places and break the images and cut down the groves and break in pieces the brazen serpent that Moses had made. For unto those days, the children of Israel did burn incense to it, and he called it Nehushtan. So why was Israel worshiping and burning incense to a serpent of brass that Moses made? Because they idolized them. Right? And guess what? Satan knew Israel's admiration they had for Moses. So, through the spirit, he tempted Israel and provoked them to want to worship that, but the Lord shut it down. Okay, from Muck the General. Shalom, beloved, wa salute. Shalom. Could you break down Revelation chapter 13, verses 14 through 15? Let's deal with it. Right? Let's deal with it. Revelation chapter 13. Slakia. Right? Verses, I believe that was 14 and 15. Our Revelation chapter 13 and 14. And he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So first and foremost, when you understand Revelation, the 13th chapter, you have to understand the beast. There's two separate beasts in this chapter. One beast is the Roman Empire. This beast in Revelation 13 and 14 is Babylon the Great or America. So before you get to 14 and 15, you got to know that this beast is America. Right? This Revelation 13 and 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So that's America, right? Their two horns are the strength of the lamb, right? So they come in the name of the lamb. They act as if they're Yahushua, right? They come in a peaceable manner, in a docile manner. They act as if they're here to save the earth. They're saving the wells. They want to save you from poverty and malaria and take you out of being a third world country and send doctors to, take care of you and feed you and nourish you. And they have the commercials with the little African babies and an old white guy over there and 10 cents a day. And, so that they try to act as if they're somebody. And through religion and politics, they excel at portraying themselves as being the lamb. Those are the two horns, their religion and their politics, Christianity, democracy. But he speaks as a dragon because he's really violent. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him. So he moves in the same spirit as the Roman Empire through conquest and imperialism, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. So he causes the world to worship the first beast by setting up a system similar to what the first beast set up. When you are in America, you are reminded of the first beast. The architecture reminds you of Rome, the columns, right? The Colosseum, the Capitol buildings, the universities. It reminds you of Rome. When you watch sports and you NASCAR or football or basketball, it reminds you of the Circus Maximus and the Colosseum. When you watch UFC, MMA, boxing, it's the gladiators, right? When you look at the government of America, the republic, America is a democratic republic. The concept of being a republic goes back to Rome, which was a republic for almost 500 years. So you're worshiping his first beast and you don't even know it, right? You're worshiping the Roman Empire because you're doing the same things that you did back in ancient Rome. Same customs, same mannerisms. I was reading the book of Acts last night, and I was reading Acts the 18th chapter. I said, this reminds me of Babylon the Great, right? This Acts chapter 18 and verse, I'm going to start at 12. Then I'm going to jump down. And when Gallio was the deputy of Achaia, the Jews made insurrection with one accord against Paul and brought him to the judgment seat. Now, Gallio's an Edomite, right? He's a Roman council and deputy that have been set up over this new area of Achaia, right? Now, I'm going to show you about this Edomite. Now, this is the Roman Empire. So we can pull up this man. I was going into this man last night. Gallio, right? Junius Annaeus Gallio, the Roman proconsul of Achaia, when Paul was in Corinth in 53 AD, under the Emperor Claudius, he was brother to Jucius, Annaeus, Seneca, the philosopher. Jerome in the Chronicle of Eusebius says that he committed suicide in 65 AD. Winder thinks he was put to death by Nero. So he was a Roman officer, an Edomite, right? So this shows you the scriptures are real. It gives you a time frame too of Paul's life and ministry. Let's see what this Edomite did. So they made an insurrection against Paul and brought him to the judgment seat. All right, think about this. Saying this fellow persuaded men to worship God contrary to the law. So they brought Paul, wicked Israelites, before this Edomite, and they're saying he's trying to get men to worship the Most High contrary to the law. And when Paul was now about to open his mouth, Gallio, who's an Edomite, said unto the Jews, if it were a matter of wrong or wicked lewdness, O ye Jews, reason that I would bear with you. But if it be a question of words and names, and of your law, look ye into it, I will be no judge of such matters. And I was looking at this verse. This reminded me of Rome, right? I pulled this up in another translation. Right, let's pull up Romans, Salakia, Acts 18. We're going to see this in the other translation for edification's sake. So he said, hey, look, man, I don't believe in that Bible. I don't believe in those scriptures. All of those laws and commandments y'all got going on, y'all deal with that. I don't want nothing to do with the scriptures. All right, that's Esau. All right, so let me get this in Acts. Right, he said, if it be a matter of your law, you deal with it. I will be a judge of no such matters. So what the hell is Esau doing now? Trying to be a judge of such matters. Okay, Acts 18. Should allow me to get the verse. It's at 12. Okay, 15. Okay, bear with me. All right, check this out. So they brought Paul before this man. Now this, let's see. Oh, let me check up. It's like I'm gonna get 14. This is from the NIV. Just as Paul was about to speak, Gallio said unto them, if you Jews were making a complaint about some misdemeanor or serious crime, it would be reasonable for me to listen to you. Right? So he said, if this is a misdemeanor, a felony, hey, I'll hear it out, man. But if it's about the Bible, about the laws and the commandments, I don't want to hear that. I'm about my law. This shows you that Esau had his own thing going on. He had his own laws, his own customs. Now he want to act like he's the Lord, he's Yahweh Shai, he's the angels, he's the Most High. Well, where was that then, man? He said, this is a misdemeanor, a felony, or a serious crime. I'm going to hear you out. But, like it says here, but if it be a question of words and names, meaning of the law, Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, and of your law, look ye into it, for I will be no judge of such matters. And he drave them from the judgment seat. Now here's the point. Then all the Greeks took Sosthenes, the chief ruler of the synagogue, and beat him. So you had these Israelites that beat this Jake before the judgment seat, and Gallio cared for none of those things. So that, what does this mean? And Gallio cared for none of these things. Man, he didn't give a damn that Jake was getting beat. He didn't give a damn about the oppression that was going on amongst the apostles, man. I said, well, that reminds me of Babylon. The so-called white men don't care if you get beat by another Jake, man. If you get shot, if there's a drive-by, killing, if there's a robbery, they take 50 minutes to show up to the hood, to answer the phone. You call 911, it's down 3 hours before a dispatcher hop on. They don't care for the things that happen amongst us, man. But if it's about their law and you affecting their people, they'll hear it out. So Gallio was a devil. He was a demon. And Gallio cared for none of those things. Right? Let me get that. 15. Right? Let's go to. See that? The crowd there turned on Sosthenes, the synagogue leader, and beat him in front of the proconsul, and Gallio showed no concern whatever. NLT, but Gallio paid no attention. So they don't pay attention to the crimes done, man. Right? That's why Revelation says, hey, look, this is like that first beast. Not just the architecture, not just the sports, even how Jake deals with Jake and then this system when Esau's over us, man. Turning a blind eye to injustice going on in the earth. So people are worshiping this first beast. Right? Verse 13, and he doeth great wonders. So he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. Those are his missiles, right? His atomic bombs. Salakia. Right? That's him making fire come down from heaven. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. So people are deceived by America's technology. They think America is of God, and America is being inspired by the Holy Spirit in order to have the power that they have. So people are deceived by his science and technology, and the Most High calls it a miracle. Because how do you create the things that you create, Esau? How do you have artificial intelligence? You call it technology. The Most High calls it a miracle. How do you have deep fakes? How do you have FaceTime and night vision goggles and planes going faster than the speed of sound? And how do you have these things, man? The Most High didn't give you these things. These are the miracles that they have power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. So who are they saying to? Who are they talking to on the earth? The other nations. The beast, America, the so-called white man that runs America, is in league with everybody else on the earth. The Moabites. Read Psalms 83. Right? The tabernacles of Edom, okay, the Ishmaelites, the Moabites, and it speaks to all of the other people on the earth. And what did America tell these other leaders? The prime minister of China, the president of this country, the leader of this country. They said, look, I got an idea. And they were all ears, because the serpent is more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. So why not listen to the beast? He said, look, we should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. Not a physical image, not a painting, not a statue, not an idol, but a spiritual image, a system, or a physical representation of the thought processes and ideologies of the so-called white man. They want their thoughts to come to life. They want to create pornography. They want to have gay bars. They want to have a wicked police department. They want their wicked thoughts to come to life. A wicked council, right? A false constitution. All of this is the image of the beast, his system that he has created. He told them, we should make this image. We should make Rome all over again. Let's make a gladiator. Let's call it the Superdome. Let's make a Circus Maximus and call it the Indy 500. Let's bring Galileo back, right? And Pontius Pilate, and call him general and captain and sheriff and lieutenant. Let's make Rome all over again. This is what they told, and everybody agreed. The Moabites agreed. The Ishmaelites agreed. The Hamitic nations agreed. Hell, even the Japhites agreed. Everybody agreed to this decree and this suggestion that they should recreate Roman systems back on the earth all over again. Verse 15. And he had power. And who gave him power? The Most High. Through Satan. Remember in Luke. Let's go to Luke. All right, let's go to Luke, the 4th chapter. Let's deal with this. St. Luke chapter 4 and verse, it's like here. What I want, 5, 6, like Luke 4 and 5. And the devil, taking him up into an high mountain, showed unto him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. So what he showed him America. Satan showed Yahushua the Walk of Fame, red carpet, Hollywood, the glitz, the glamour, being famous. He showed him China, the big cities, the fancy cars. He showed him Britain. He showed him France. He showed him all these kingdoms in a moment of time. He could feel it, probably his grasp, and then it vanished. And a man might see it, he might long for it, and where did it go? And do anything to get that back, right? In a moment of time. And the devil said unto him, all this power will I give thee, and the glory of them, for that is delivered unto me, and to whomsoever I will, I give it. If thou therefore will worship me, all shall be thine. So that's why in Revelation 13, it says he had power. Who gave him power? Satan. The Most High set up Satan to give America power to create this system and this technology and have these miracles. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So how do you cause the image of the beast to get life? Right? Well, what the so-called white man did is his ideas and his thoughts, he put them into work and put them into action. And that is the fruit of his labor. That is his image coming into life. Your image is what you represent, what you stand for. Again, I always use the example, if you're going to tarnish somebody's image, it's more than going to their house and breaking the picture of what they look like. Tarnishing somebody's image is ruining their character by slander, right? By lies and reproach. So the image of Esau, what does Esau stand for? What does America stand for? Sin, lust, sex, pride, sodomy, freakism, madness. And he gave life unto madness. He gave life unto sex. He gave life unto wickedness by creating what you see around you. And it speaks, right? Doesn't mean it's literally speaking. No, right? Just like somebody says, this is talking to me. Right? People go to museums, they look at art. What do you see? It's telling me this, right? So his image is his system, and it's speaking based off of the works that are happening in this country. All right. And if you don't worship this image, you're going to be killed. People were killed in time past. It's going to come back on the earth all over again. Right. That's Revelation chapter 13, 14, and 15. Chapter 13, verses 14 and 15. All right. Love pious. How do I eat on a Sabbath day? How do I preserve my food not to spoil for the next day? What kind of food can be preserved? Okay, well, there's all types of things that you can eat, right? I mean, you can eat sandwiches. Now, you can't cook on the Shabbat, right? So this is probably how that question was prompted. No cooking on the Sabbath, right? No using the oven, microwave, toaster oven, air fryer. What else? Anything that can heat your food up, right? That's why you prep. So really, ideally, on the Sabbath day, let's say it's so-called Friday before the sun goes down, you could cook your food and it can still be hot for you to eat it Friday night. I'm saying that again. You could cook your food before the sun goes down Friday night. You can wait, sun go down 8:30, start cooking at 6, 6:37, whatever. By the time you want to be done by the time the sun goes down, right? Maybe you want to still have time to still do the dishes, whatever you want to do, but you plan it out. You'll be able to eat that hot food, you know. And you might be hungry later. You might want to, something to eat. You might want a sandwich. You might have some fruit lined up, right? You might have cereal, right? It might be something that you might want to eat. You might have a sub, right? There's a lot of foods you can eat cold. I know people eat chicken cold, right? People eat pizza cold, right? There's a lot of things that you can kind of get down with, man. Right? There's a lot of things you can get down with. And righteousness. All right. So how do I preserve my food for it not to spoil it? There's some foods you can just sit out. All right. The brother said you eat a salad. There's food you can sit out. Or you put it in the refrigerator if you want to. It's going to be cold. But hey, there's some things you might just sit out, man. Wrap it up like it's aluminum foil or something. Or cover it, Hey, it is what it is, man. Right? So, if anybody got any righteous suggestions, you can add those as well. Do I eat only cold food? Again, you don't have to eat. Now, I'm going to say this. On your so-called Saturdays in the morning, and your food, you ain't going to be able to heat that food up and cook it. So you better plan. You better get this thing figured out. Some people do like a pasta salad they make. You can get very creative. Some people do like burritos or, like a pulled chicken sandwich they'll eat, or, right? There's a lot that you can get into in righteousness. There's a lot that you can get into through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemiel Shai. All right. Okay. Next question. Love pies. Are the Edo people Benin Israelites? I can't say. I don't have to answer off the top of the head. I will lay my hand upon my mouth Surah Sirach, chapter 5. That's something I can look into. I'm not familiar with that, of the Edo people in Benin. I do know that you do have a lot of Israelites scattered throughout the west coast of Africa. I am familiar with some tribes, but the Edo people, I'll have to look into that. Right? I'll look into that. But with that, I'm gonna close up, giving, of course, all honor and glory to Yahweh. This is just a one of many Q&As. There are many questions that have yet to be answered. Time has escaped me, right? Lord willing, I can do another one tomorrow or this week and keep this rolling. Lord willing, your question, if it wasn't answered, you save it for next time, or you inbox or use the email, watchingforisrael77@gmail.com. You can always message me on Instagram, notquam_77, or hit up the WFI Instagram, Watching for Israel. If you immediately need your question answered. So, Lord willing, with that, you were edified, giving, of course, all honor and glory to Yahweh. Shalom.